Hi everyone, pleased to have a conversation with Ella, another one of my year 11 students. I've known Ella since she was in year 8, believe it or not. It seems like years ago now, Ella. And when Ella first come to me, she was quiet, timid, kind of distractible, looking out the window. I soon worked out that it wasn't anything to do with that she couldn't do anything, which I don't believe that anybody has the restrictions of, but I think that it was definitely a lack of self-confidence. So we've worked quite heavily around those sort of areas, as well as helping build her confidence within her subjects as well. Ella has been absolutely integral for the growth of my business, and due to her superpowers of interpersonal skills and just being able to pick up on other people's emotions, she's been part of our recruitment process on many occasions. So thank you very much, Ella, and thank you for chatting with me today.
It's okay.
Thank you. It's just a chat, just like how it would be normally.
Yeah.
But obviously I've got a few questions planned for you.
Okay.
Ready for the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. What things do you like most about our sessions together?
It's like really fun and it's a better way of learning, and you know the way that I learn better than the teachers in school.
Okay. Can you give me an example?
So like in school we would do just like looking on the board and just copying things down. However, when we have our tutoring sessions, it's like all games and like adaptable to how I learn instead of like how teachers think every kid's learning, just like reading it off the board.
Yeah, definitely. I've worked really hard to find the perfect formula for you, Ella. And I think as long as as long as it's engaging in some way in the form of a game, that it's visual, that it's fun, but yeah, it imparts knowledge your way. You seem to be able to consume it a lot more readily than if I
Yeah.
were to, for example, just whack something up and get you to ask questions. Not that I ever did, because my learning's so off the wall, but you know what I mean. And I'm glad that you found it useful. So how do you think tutoring in this way has helped you compared to at school, for example?
At school I usually just completely zone out and block it all because it's not fun, it's not engaging. Like I'm in high school, I get bored. It's just like they're constantly on about like your GCSEs and how you've got to focus, and they don't incorporate how different kids learn.
Yeah.
Like I've got like they think I've got dyslexia. We don't know. It's confusing, but in a way this has been more helpful because like we've adapted it to my way of learning and how I have to have things. So like blue paper, like blue backgrounds on everything, and it's more like adaptable. However, most of my all of my teachers don't even put a blue paper on a blue background. Only one of my teachers, and that's my chemistry teacher, does that
Yeah.
because she has dyslexia and she knows how it feels.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think that obviously you know that I've got dyslexia and dyspraxia, so you know that I understand where you're coming from. And I think that when it's a dyslexic to a dyslexic, maybe like your chemistry teacher as well, you know how important just those small changes are to a lesson, like just changing the background of something, or getting somebody to read part of it for you can really alleviate that pressure on you. And I think, you know, that girls have with girls quite often, in terms of there's quite a lot of studies that have been done, particularly dyslexia or SEND in general, where you can mask. So you come up with coping strategies to deal with it. And then you're kind of left behind, and particularly if you're quiet and you just kind of let the lessons roll on. And I think it's really sad actually, because you've gone through this whole process without kind of that support, probably up until it was exam time and they thought, oh, I better do something. I think, you know, it's been a long road for you, but the fact that you've persevered and that you've kept going and you're doing your revision now, and you know you're on a roll, I think that is actually like a really positive kind of thing to come off the back of like the whole thing that I've seen. And it's been really nice to see how you've evolved and being able to use, you know, your own sort of, I don't know, you've blossomed, haven't you? You've become more, you know, able to do it for yourself, and that's all I wanted. You know, I wanted you to be able to achieve what you deserve to achieve and not worry about, you know, I can't do it. Oh, you can. You just got to believe that you can. And I know that's easier said than done, but I feel like we're now into the I can do it. So it's really wonderful to see. So we've kind of gone into, I suppose, how school and tutoring is different, really, haven't we, in terms of the approaches and stuff. But I suppose if you could have one wish of how school could be changed, you could wave your magic wand and ta-da, and it would be fixed. What do you think that you would change?
That schools would be way more supportive towards like girls and the like SEN like part of it. Because I know so many girls like this year that have just been tested for dyslexia and they found out they had dyslexia. And like also people with ADHD as well, because I've got a few ADHD tendencies and I don't know, because my parents don't want me tested for anything because they don't want me to like find that I have an excuse, is their way of putting it. But I wish it they would like do more about it instead of just like leaving it and leaving us to like fail completely and just leave it to.
How do you think, this is a good question, this is like a good conversation really, but how do you think, because there is that debate, isn't there, about whether a label, you know, certain parents don't want to put the label, or teachers or whatever don't want to put the label on a particular student, but how do you think that label would help you?
I guess it would kind of help you understand, like help me understand me a bit more, because like I kind of don't know why I can't focus. And if there is a reason for that, then I would love to know what it is. But because now I'm 16, I could go get tested for myself, like I can go do it myself. But when I was younger, all the teachers say, oh, she's away with the fairies all the time, we don't know what's going on. I guess if they kind of like realized that and they would have tested, then it would have been like a better process now, instead 100%. Of just like leaving it.
100%. So I suppose it's a bit like what you're trying to say is like cause and effect. If you know the reason why something is happening, then you can put more strategies in place to be able to support you within the learning environment, your GCSEs, whatever it is. As long as you know what it is, you can do something more proactive about it, I suppose. Okay, so how can I help with that? Have I already? I don't know.
Like, because your like business is more like social media based as well, maybe we could put out a thing, like a campaign or something that could like make schools and people more aware of the girls' side of things. Because like unmasking, and it doesn't really get put out a lot to people because they think it doesn't really matter.
I think that's a brilliant idea actually, Ella, and we can maybe do, this is me just bouncing ideas off of you now, but you know, like how there was that campaign of This Girl Can.
I've seen that.
I wonder if we can like adapt it in some way and like explain how girls can be restricted, like flipping it somehow. I don't want to say these girls can't, because that's like a negative spin on it, but I wonder if we can like bounce off of that sort of campaign into our own campaign, where we can think of a way of, or this girl masks or something like that, which
this girl can't because you won't let her.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that's a good, see, you could, you know, you could run this campaign if you wanted, and I could just help out. But it sounds like an amazing idea. Last question then. What's one thing you'd like me to know about our tutoring sessions? And I'm scared of this question because I don't know what's going to come in your mouth.
Well, a bit like that one time when we was in the Wi-Fi password and we had no idea what was going to come out my mouth.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, this is going to be a dangerous situation. What are you going to say? Okay, what's one thing, Ella, that I need to know?
I guess it's just that it's really helped me because I had no support in school whatsoever. So it's really been a good experience to have there.
Thanks, Ella. You get emotional. No,
I watched Doctor Strange, okay? It was very emotional.
You're just on the cusp of a cry.
Yeah.
But no, I really appreciate that. I think that with you, Ella, I could see the potential that is there, and it's really difficult when I can see that you can do it. I can see that it's in there, and I'm like, you can do it, and it's like, oh, I don't see that I can do it. I'm like, but you can, and so that's why I've dedicated so much time, time where it wasn't about the money, it wasn't about the money that I put into it, even if I gave up my own time to be like, we're going to get you through this, because I knew that you could, and I just wanted you to believe that you could, so that we get you to a point where you were like, yeah, I can, and not, oh, flipping hell, I failed. I don't want that for you, because I know that you can do it. I've 100% faith in you. I could, I could put bets on it, but it's just that I could see that self-belief within yourself, that feeling of, I just feel like I'm overwhelmed, or that I need to escape, or I need to avoid, was putting a barrier in your way more than your ability to be able to actually do it. And I think that's always been the case, but that was, the thing that I really wanted to work with you on, to make sure that you can do it, and I know that you can do it. So yeah, I really appreciate you being really sweet to me and kind to me in terms of what you want me to know, and it wasn't as daunting as I thought it was going to be. So I appreciate that. And yeah, thank you for chatting with me. I'm just going to pause the recording. Bye.